All right. Good morning, everyone. Adam Smith, Core Finance Group, and Just the Tips Coaching. And this is How I Met Your Mortgage. This is Season 2, Episode 23. And our guest this week is Stephanie Fryncko. Stephanie, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, you did. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us. It's a treat to have you with us. Typically, and obviously, there's no real set agenda, there's no rhyme or reason to anything that we do here, other than the fact that we want to make sure that our brethren, both yours and mine, in the real estate world and the loan origination world, get some fresh insight as to somebody else's business and what they do and how they do it and what makes them successful at it. Typically, we would start by stepping into the Wayback Machine. So give us a little background about you and where you come from and what your life outside of real estate is like and how you got into real estate and what you've done over the years that you've been practicing.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm originally a Pittsburgh native and moved here back in 99. Actually came out here with a degree in landscape design build. So I was working for a large landscape company when I moved here. When I bought my first house, the agent who sold me my house looked like she was having so much fun. I thought I can do that too. And lo and behold, I went and got my real estate license and realized that she puts a lot more work into it than most people realize. So, but I've been enjoying every moment. You know, I have a wonderful son that this helps me be able to spend as much time with him as I possibly can, you know, or screw him up as much as I can, you know, so he needs therapy for the rest of his life, whichever way you want to look at it. So,
Okay.
but no, I absolutely enjoy everything I do with this. It's taken me a while to get my groove, so to speak. You know, I tried all those goofy internet leads, all the Zillow stuff, all of that. And I realized that my best source of clients are past referrals, you know, from people that I have enjoyed working with over the years, that's where the bulk of my business comes from. And they know that I've enjoyed working with them and I want to work with the exact same type of people as they like to be with. So that's really just been, you know, the overall Reader's Digest condensed version of it, so to speak. But
Well, and don't get me wrong, and we'll elaborate on it because that is very condensed, but I do think that that's a very big deal. And certainly that's the baseline for what we want to get across. When I started coaching real estate agents, oh my, I don't know, 10 years ago, it all started with zero cost marketing for a repeat and referral business. That's the goal in everything that we do, everything we teach. My book, The Works, is all along that baseline. So you and I are speaking the same language there. Tell us a little bit about your real estate history. Who do you work for? Who have you worked for? Are you on a team? Do you run a team? Those kinds of things.
when I started out in real estate, I started out with Metro Brokers. I was there for about a year or so, and then I happened to get a call from a company called Sticks and Stones. So I moved over to Sticks and Stones, and from there went to Herman Group, which became ERA, which became Sherwood, and then eventually moved to Caldwell Banker. And I've been here for about, gosh, I think about 3 to 4 years now, and I have just met the most amazing managing brokers. I've learned more in the past 4 years than I did over the other 11 years of being in, well, total 15 years of being in real estate. There's just so much more training here. It's just been really a great place for me to learn and grow at Coldwell Banker. So I can't
That's
go
a
wrong.
ringing endorsement for that environment. Which Coldwell Banker office are you in?
I was with Devonshire for about a year and a half and moved over here to Denver West just because I realized I needed to cut a little bit of stress out of my life, and that 5 miles to Devonshire was a half an hour of driving and me screaming at my windshield. So just a little bit of less stress in my life, and 5 minutes to the office is a much better thing for me.
Oh my, a real estate agent that doesn't like commuting. That's a tough one.
Well, I'm not commuting. I just need a little bit of stress out of my life. And, my car got tired of me yelling at it all the time for everybody else in front me. So this
Yeah,
works out.
that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sympathetic to that as well. If I could find a way to shorten my 5 mile commute, I would do that as well. But I do get it. That's good stuff. All right, so let's get into this. Business sourcing, lead generation kind of stuff. Obviously, I know a little bit more than our audience does when it comes to what you are doing, what kinds of activities you're implementing when it comes to ensuring that you're getting referrals from past clients.
Mhm.
And for those of you watching, Stephanie and I are along the same lines when it comes to that. I would say 80%, maybe 70% of our business at the Core Finance Group is client referrals and repeat clients. So it's really a large avenue. We cut a wide swath to make sure that our customer experience is top notch, that we stay in touch, that we exhibit and exude a true concern for these people, their well-being, their financial well-being, that we're doing regular reviews on their assets, on their financing, on their debt, those kinds of things, so that we can continue to push that source of business forward. Tell us about your past client activities, interactions, why that works, how that spawns referrals from that database for you.
Um, a lot of what I do is, throughout the entire transaction, I'm always making sure that my clients understand that one, I'm always asking for referrals. You need to do it constantly throughout the whole transaction. Say, hey, if you know anybody else is looking to buy or sell, I hope I'm the person that you would refer out. Um, After a transaction is closed, I like to go by like maybe 2 or 3 weeks afterwards and just pop by and see how things are going. Is everything okay? Do you have any issues? Is there anything that you need help with? Or is anybody that you need, let's say, do you need a landscaper? Do you need this? Do you need that? Because, being in the business that we're in, we tend to know pretty much everybody. And then I always like to keep them on a database so that every month they're always getting a postcard or getting a mailer from me. I'm a huge fan of those little coupon cards, so that they can go to the Botanic Gardens or they can get a donut. Who doesn't love donuts? And
Buy a
just
muffin, get a muffin.
exactly. And then also doing pop-bys. I would much rather do that than make phone calls with my clients. I like to pop by and just see how things are going with them. So, a couple times throughout the year, I just pop by with these little goofy little fun gifts. And if I don't catch them, I leave them on the porch and just take a picture and send it to them. Hey, sorry, I missed you. Don't forget to check your front porch when you go in. I think that's important to just kind of keep up with them and always remind them that you're still in the business, that you're there if they need anything. And, if they know someone else that, we'd like to work with someone else just like them.
Whoa, boy, you just nailed down a major precedent for what we do and teach. That yes, whatever it is you guys are doing in your prospecting and marketing, it should be fun. It should be activities you enjoy, because the subtext of, hey, I'm still here, I'm still in real estate, don't forget about me, will always exist. So don't feel like you have to be selling in those activities, that you have to be trying to figure out when these people are going to sell, when they're going to buy their next home, whatever the case may be. That comes organically. So that was really brilliant. And since you brought it up, and it's something I've been thinking about, and we've talked about this for a few years, are you giving closing gifts?
Generally, no.
Okay.
I don't do that. After the person has moved in, I was giving plants because I'm a huge fan of like your indoor health, indoor health air quality. So, something that like a peace lily, helps spread more oxygen, break out toxins from the home, things like that. I like to give something simple like that. But I'm not a huge fan of giving out closing gifts. I just don't think it's just not been my thing, so to speak.
Okay. And obviously it's a very, very common activity. Houseplants, I love. That's really a cool idea. Um, and I think that what I'm driving at here is that for those of you that are doing this at the time of closing, I think you're adding a further distraction to an already very mentally consuming process for your clients, for your buyer clients. They've just gotten a home, likely sold a home, gotten a mortgage, hired movers, packed everything they own into boxes, on and on and on. And my fear for well, certainly for my coaching clients, but for all of our real estate agent brethren, is that your closing gift is getting lost in the shuffle. It's not something that's being focused on or being paid attention to, as is pretty much any activity, any prospecting, any lead generation activity that you're doing at the time of closing. And where Stephanie is nailing it is by going by a couple of few weeks after, seeing how things are going, dust has settled, boxes have been unpacked, there may even be a few pictures hung on the wall. These people are really starting to feel like it's home. The stress level has plummeted for these people, and I guarantee you she's getting better traction, better top of mind activity by taking advantage of that 2 or 3 week post closing pop by than whatever you guys are attempting to do at closing. Great excuse for you to bring that closing gift by 2 or 3 weeks after closing, rather than trying to bring any more to the table than what your poor clients are already dealing with on that day. So that's really where I was driving, but thank you for the catalyst to bring that up, Stephanie.
Well, you're quite welcome. Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, tell us of the fraction of the business that isn't coming from past client referrals. Where, and don't get me wrong, I know that you've done internet leads, and we're not going to, well, we don't have to. We can, it's free form. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I think that the majority of our audience would be relatively anti-Zillow leads, anti-realtor.com leads, those kinds of things. But for the percentage of your business that isn't strictly repeat clients and client referrals, where is that sourcing from?
Some of that comes from relocation, because I am on our relocation team here at Coldwell Banker. But also I tend to work with a lot of military. So I'm down at Navy Federal a couple of days a month, just kind of letting them know that there is a program for them that gets cash back after closing. It's the Realty Plus program. And I love working with them, and they are probably some of the most loyal clients I've ever worked with. Once you get in, it seems like once you get in good with them and you give them great service, that you make them feel that they're important, that they are more willing to pass you on to someone else too, and let them know. I have one client who has probably sent me 10 or 12 people over the last 3 years. He has just been absolutely amazing. The other stuff, you're supposed to do all the calls and, in the grocery store lines. To me, that's kind of like my time. I don't want to talk to about real estate while I'm standing in the grocery store. And of course, by then my hair's in a ponytail and I look like I've been drugged through a tornado. But a lot of it is really just keeping in touch. I mean, the biggest thing has just been keeping in touch with past clients. I can't stress that enough, how important that is for everybody. I'm a huge fan of Brian Buffini, and I love everything that he says, because it's more looking out for the people. It's not being just cramming real estate constantly down someone's throat. It's much more just being in touch there and being there for them, and just being grateful for every little thing that you have. I think that's a huge thing, is expressing gratitude towards all your clients. I'm grateful for everything that they give me and that they've entrusted in me, and I hope that they feel the same way. I just think that's the important part, and that's where everything comes from. It's just a grateful heart.
I would agree, and I think the heart of that is that it's about the relationships we build. But
Right.
I really want to stress for our audience, both live and in syndication, that you had mentioned that there's a client who has referred you 10 or 12 deals over the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
That's, roughly 3 or 4 deals a year, one client.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're talking what's probably $30,000-$40,000 in commissions for, well, certainly in our market. For those of you watching, you'll have to adjust those numbers for your particular market. You guys all know what your GCI, what your net commission is on any particular transaction. But if Stephanie has 10 of those clients, that's it, just 10 of those clients referring her 3 or 4 deals a year, 30 or 4 transactions a year out of those 10 clients, she's made her business. That's a career. You do that for 20 years and you're going to be a real happy camper at the end of your career. So I really want for you guys watching to hear what Stephanie is saying about how important your past client relationships are, because she doesn't need to do a ton of lead gen. She doesn't need to be calling a dozen Zillow leads a day. She is fostering and nurturing those relationships with those people, and it's going to pay long-term dividends. And I know we say this in every episode, guys, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not a job, it's a career. And she is exercising the kinds of activities that are laying the framework to ensure that she has those things. So, Stephanie, that's fantastic stuff. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that kind of stuff with our audience. So, just to run through the gamut here, you're doing the coupon postcards, you're doing pop buys with goofiness attached, and for those of you watching, we'll agree with that. Embrace the cheesiness. We think it's important in our office too. So give us, again, some kind of idea of how often you're touching your clients. I don't mean that inappropriately, but how many times are they getting a mailer? How many times are they getting to see you face to face? What is the frequency of you exercising those top of mind activities with them?
My clients get at least 2 mailers from me every month. So there's, it's a Brian Buffini item of interest, or something like that. It could either be real estate related or just something financial related. Sometimes the last one I saw was about finances, about how to start saving and things like that. And then the other thing is I always do those coupon postcards. That's once a month as well. So they're at least getting 2 items that way. And the pop buys I do every quarter, and I keep them in my car. So if I happen to be somewhere and I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't seen Joe Schmo for a while, let me stop by and just, say hi to him because I'm in the neighborhood. So I always have at least, 10 pop by things in my car at all times, so that regardless of wherever I am, I can just do a quick swing by and say, hey, how are things going? Or snap a picture of their house. Hey, I love the new landscape you put in. Just, so to me, it's all, I think, sometimes the sillier sometimes the things are, the more you kind of stick out in their mind. So it's never expensive. It's like maybe a $10 or $15 little pop by thing. And then, like I said, the little pictures, I really like the flowers. I love, the colors you painted your house. Just, let them know, hey, I swung by, you weren't there, but this is what I saw. I love it. And I think that means a ton to them. And it's never been expensive. I mean, we all go through all of the other silly things and we figure out that it's just not worth it. And this way, I'm able to keep more money in my pocket, but yet do something simple that my clients love and they think is great, So it's never a huge item, but it's just something that keeps you in mind with them.
Okay. And how often do you think you're doing that?
The pop buys are at least, like I said, every quarter. I'm trying to hit everybody every quarter. But that's why, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. I have some clients away goofy out here, goofy over there. And, it's just whenever I happen to be in the neighborhood, I try to hurry up and kind of catch up with them again.
So that's probably, getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 times that you are reminding your past clients about who you are and what you do every year. So for those of you watching, that's a big number that she's exercising. 2 or 3 times a month, she's making sure that her past client database gets that subtextual content of, hey, I'm still in real estate, don't forget about me. Okay, that's a big deal. And on a couple of occasions now, you've mentioned some different Buffini-esque types of activities, and certainly Brian himself. And don't get me wrong, we love Brian's stuff. We implement and integrate quite a bit of it into our practice. You'd see a lot of Buffini-esque type of activities in our coaching and teaching, and certainly in my book. What did you actually go through Buffini's coaching?
I don't personally coach with him, but I've gone through like the peak reducers, some of the other things that he does. And I just try to keep up with that. And I'll go back and do peak reducers over again this year, just because you tend to, in a way, just start slacking on some
Yeah.
things. And also, it's always a good reminder. Oh yeah, I should have been doing this, or I should try doing this time. The other thing didn't quite work. So I'll do it over and over again. His summer blitz program, or just whatever else that he comes up with. I do them over and over again. I listen to his CDs constantly. Just to I'm one of those people that I think if I do something repetitively, I pick it up better instead of just going through it once and going, oh yeah, that was great, and putting it on the shelf and forgetting about it. So the more I do it, the better I become, and the more successful I've become.
So I think you really nailed something on the head here. And this is true of all of our content, and certainly all of Brian's content, and for the most part, every lead generation tactic, every real estate and sales coach that's out there. Nobody is doing or teaching or showing you guys anything that's a unicorn, anything that's a magic potion, anything that hasn't been done at one point or another. The big issue here is that you guys all know what you need to be doing. You're just not doing it, or you forget to do it, or you need to make some tweaks to how you do it in order to make it successful for your business. But that, yeah, doing those kinds of courses, and for those of you watching, if you haven't sat through one of the Buffini seminars, even just for that little tidbit of information, you're cheating yourself. I've seen a number of Brian's coaches speak, and the content is all similar, but again, it's amazing content, and we just need a reminder of the things we need to be doing, that we should be doing. And really, it's more about getting a swift kick in the ass than it is about finding some new technique or tactic that you've never heard of. Because, if you've been in the business for any length of time, guys, like Stephanie has, you've seen it, you've heard of it. You're just not exercising it. So that's certainly a very, very big deal. And that's good stuff. Have you ever had a coach?
Other than one of my managing brokers, that's really been about it. I still train with, I passed managing broker at Devonshire. I've never signed up for coaching with Brian Buffini or Tom Ferry or any of those guys. I, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of like a fly by the seat of my pants kind of agent.
Okay.
Kind of the way I've always been.
Stephanie, it's working, so don't hate to say it.
But I think I'm starting to get to the point where I might need a little extra push. You kind of get to the point where you start having little ruts, and you need someone to figure out how to get you through that, or and maybe find something else to help you get to your goal. I'm a huge fan of, I do my planning every year, so I know exactly where I want to be. And for me, I didn't realize until I started coaching with my past managing broker how competitive I am. And if I have other people who are doing the same thing, I go, oh, I can do that, and I can do it better than you can, and I'm going to beat you, kind of thing. And so I think I'm getting to that point where I do need to sit down and really think about getting onto some sort of coaching with someone. And I think it's something that will help me get past where I want my goals to be next year. I have a pretty lofty goal this year, and I'm sure next year it'll just keep increasing from there. My son's getting older, so I don't need to stay home as much. So might as well work a little bit harder. Mommy's not as cool as I used to be. So what do you do?
Oh, I am sympathetic to that. and unfortunately, it gets worse before it gets better.
Yay.
And you and I should talk about that, but we'll do that offline, or at least off of live video. And are you doing any coaching, mentoring? I mean, you're obviously spending time in your office. Are there newer agents? Not that Coldwell is infamous for that, but are there newer, fresher, younger agents seeking insight from you?
I have had a couple of younger or like newer agents come out and do certain things with me. But generally I'm not here that often. I'm not a fan of sitting in the office because I think my business is out there and my clients can't see me while I'm sitting at the chair. So, I do a lot of stuff in the morning, early morning. I'm up, usually up doing stuff by 5 a.m. I'm up doing my emails, checking all of that stuff, figuring out what I need to do for the day. I'm a huge fan of checklists, always have been, because if I don't write it down, I forget it, it's gone. So for them to kind of see me, it's if I'm coming in for an office meeting or I'm coming in for some sort of training that we're doing here at the office, I try to kind of, let them know, hey, if you ever need somebody, I'm here. And everybody knows that if they need me, the quickest way to get in touch with me is texting. But yeah, I haven't really done any mentoring with younger agents yet.
Okay. And I know that you don't particularly care for the telephone, that you're more of a face-to-face kind of marketer, as it were. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me that you have the mental capacity that work is outside of the office, rather than some of us, those of us that really are hot and heavy with the telephone, think that the work is in the office. Well, as a real estate agent, you guys are doing everything on your cell phone, but certainly sympathetic. Okay, so Stephanie, just because time is whipping by, I certainly don't want to shortchange our consumer audience. So give us some feedback about what working with you brings and how we can get a hold of you if it's somebody who needs to buy or sell, and certainly if it's somebody who would like a little insight about how you have built this successful real estate practice for yourself in what's essentially a repeat and referral manner. So give us all the highlights of how to reach out to who should and how to reach out to Stephanie.
I guess the best thing is if you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell, a good little tagline that I learned good from Brian Buffini was, if you're looking for someone who's, do you know anybody who's getting married, getting unmarried, having babies, not having babies anymore, getting a, empty nest. Those are the kind of people I like to work with. I like to work with people who, I have a crazy, wicked sense of humor, and I'm known to crack jokes a lot while I'm out showing homes or doing this or doing that. I think laughter, breaks the tension, because this is a very stressful undertaking for a lot of people. Selling a home, buying a home, it's a huge, huge expense.
Moving, getting a mortgage, yeah,
Right.
the list is long.
All that stuff, and they're like, well, why did my lender ask me for the same thing 6,000 times? I said, I don't care if they ask you for 10,000 times. There's some reason they need it. Just send it again. Your lender needs it. The underwriter needs it. The processor needs it. Just send it. But I like to make things a little light, so those are the kind of people I like to work with. I'm not the stuffy agent. My clients will see me. I've rolled in from a riding lesson in my britches to show a house to a client last week. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I was at a riding lesson. You called me just before I got on a horse. I scheduled the showing. I came right afterwards to come show you a house. I didn't want you to miss out. My clients know I'm pretty much always available. I do an 8 to 8 kind of thing, but I'm like, if you text me after 8 o'clock, and if I see the phone, I'll answer. Everybody needs family time. Everybody needs downtime. And goodness knows, this is usually me by the end of the day. So I always tell my clients, texting is the fastest way to get a hold of me. I shut my ringer off when I'm with other clients. I think it's absolutely, at least for me, it's rude to have my phone ring when I'm with another client. I want them to feel special. This is about them right now, not about me getting another client or me answering another question. So if I can answer with a text message, I'll do that, but I'm not going to take a call when I'm with someone else. They're important to me, and I want them to know that. I hope that this is something that I can continue at least for the next 15, 20 years. I absolutely love what I do. There's always something new to learn. There's always some new little quirky thing that happens, some drama that goes on behind the scenes. This is just an amazing business. And you know that. You know how working with agents can be. Sometimes we're a loony bunch, but most of us just enjoy what we do, and sometimes we need to get a little taste a humble pie to go, you know what, you're not that person, you know, tone it down just a bit. And thank you so much for having me on here. This was, as nervous as I was at the get-go, this has been a ton of fun, and thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning. And real quick, because we are out of time, tell everybody the best way to get a hold of you.
Text message 303-918-5917. That is the absolutely quickest way to get a hold of me. Right. Okay.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Stephanie. And for those of you watching, if you'd like more information about us, if you'd like more information about the show, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, if you want to talk about lead gen, if you want to talk about sales coaching, if you want to get a copy of my book, Just the Tips, you can use that text code scrolling around at the bottom of your screen. Text CORE to 63566. Thank you all for watching, and you guys have an amazing day. Stephanie, don't go anywhere. I'll need just a minute of your time.
Okay.
Bye, guys.